Happy New Year, everybody. This is the first video of 2025. Like many of you out there, I first got into the Turtles with the animated series back in the day. I was a huge fan of the cartoon, and I've always wanted to do a original Mirage Comics read-through. I started to do it a few years ago with the Ultimate Editions. I read about half of the first volume, and I just lost interest. But I finally dove into the hardcover compendium. I read the entire thing front to back, and I did something different with this video. I really went issue by issue and gave a brief breakdown of each one. Some issues I spent more time on than others, as some are more pertinent to the overall story and some are just kind of one-offs. But I did take a lot of time to edit this one and really try to break it down and make it engaging and enjoyable for you guys. So first of all, thank you for clicking on the video. If you like this video, leave a like on it to let me know that you want to see more of the TMNT read-through. Before we get into the story, we might as well take a look at the hardcover itself. It has a dust jacket with a matte finish with the image from TMNT issue number 1, of course, by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. But there's also Michael Dooney, Ryan Brown, Jim Lawson, Steve Bissett, and Eric Talbot, who contributed to some of these issues. I made it a point to check to see who was on each issue as I was reading it, so I'll try to make a point in doing that here with this review. I did like the fact that these hardcover compendiums were the same trim as like a Marvel or DC omnibus. That's why I traded the Ultimate Editions in. This collects issues 1 through 7, then 9 through 14 of the original Mirage TMNT comic books. Issue 8 has been omitted. It's actually a rabbit hole that I don't really want to go all the way down. Bottom line is it contained Cerebus, so there was a licensing issue, so it was omitted from the hardcover compendium, although it is in those Ultimate Editions, if I recall. It collects the one-shots, or micro series is what they call them, for Raph, Mikey, Donatello, and Leo. It has Fugitoid issue number 1, and then Tales of the TMNT 1 through 5. These retailed $150. Luckily, you can buy them discounted. OrganicPriceBooks.com has them for $101. We got a discount code over there where you can save $2 by using the code GemMint at checkout. And if you're overseas, you could check out ComicsBugle.com. They have free shipping, no taxes or import fees if you're within the EU. You can pre-order books and they won't charge you until the book is ready to ship. Plus, you could save $5 off of your first order by using code GemMint at checkout. And then you can continue to use that code to build up rewards points moving forward. On the inside flaps here, you just have an image of Raph and the quick biography on the creators, Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. All right, then the actual hardcover is just black with a green image of the Turtles, TMNT Compendium on the spine as well. Not really too flashy. It's got a green ribbon that you can use as a bookmark. I wasn't really a fan of the aesthetics of these books. I felt like, I don't know, they just look a little bit plain, a little bit bland, but I don't want to get too much into that. So here we go, some of the credits and the table of contents. So it goes in publication order. You get the first 3 issues, and you get the Raphael micro series, then you get issue 4, then Fugitoid 1, which leads into TMNT 5, jumping into issue 1. Opening up, we get introduced to the Turtles. Leonardo is narrating, and you can see that they're facing a group of thugs, and then we get the Turtles jumping out at you. Cue the theme music. So then we see how the Turtles are able to handle themselves. We get introduced to all the brothers and their weapons. Man, and back in these early comic days, they were mean looking. As the police arrive, we see that the Turtles make their way into the night, having learned the ways of ninjutsu from their master, Splinter, who we meet in the very next panel. Master Splinter gives his origin story on how he was a pet rat for his master, Hamato Yoshi. He learned martial arts by watching him through his cage. Hamato Yoshi was part of the Foot Clan, along with an Oroku Nagi, who they've always competed with each other, especially for the heart of Tang Shen. But when Oroku Nagi realized he wasn't able to have her, he beats her, causing a fight between Hamato Yoshi and Oroku Nagi, leading to the death of Nagi. Now, Oroku Nagi might sound familiar. That's because Oroku Saki was his younger brother, and that's the man that later becomes the Shredder. Hamato Yoshi would then flee to the United States of America, to New York City, because of the shame he felt for killing a fellow Foot Clan member. Oroku Nagi's brother would then become the leader of the Foot Clan and avenge his brother's death by going to America and killing Hamato Yoshi. Splinter's cage breaks during the brawl, and he scurries away, heading to the streets. Splinter tells the origins of the Turtles and how they came in contact with this vial of ooze with TCRI on the label, teaching them the ways of martial arts, naming them, and getting us to the point where we're at today, where we have these 4 mutant turtles. So here goes Raphael. And the artwork, guys, throughout this book is such a treat. It really feels like reading a manga. I don't feel like it really gets those comparisons often, but it feels very manga-like. We learn that Splinter's actually been training them for this one specific mission. He wants them to avenge the death of his master Yoshi by killing the Shredder, Oroku Saki. So we see Raphael go through the city, beat down some of the Foot Clan guards, put the message on one of his sais, and throw it into the office building where Oroku Saki is, saying that they are here to avenge the death of Hamato Yoshi. Shredder is obviously upset, and he is ready to take the fight to the Turtles. Then we get a scene which we saw recreated in the first live-action movie where they go to the top of the building to confront the Shredder.
Now you face a Shredder.
Shredder drops down. He's got the Foot Clan soldiers with him. Nice double-page spread showing off the battle between the Turtles and the Foot. And they eventually kill Shredder in the very first issue of the comic series. But, you know, this is comic books, and the Shredder will return. But not right away. So that's issue 1 by Eastman and Laird. Then we jump into issue 2. This is when we get introduced to the Mousers. First, we get some more home life, how the Turtles are living in the sewers of New York City with their master Splinter. Watching the news. Baxter, Stockman gets introduced here. They're talking about the Mousers. They can see the trials and tests and the Mousers killing a rat, trying to clean up the rat problem in NYC. Oh, and we get introduced to April O'Neil as well, who's going to be a main character in the series, of course. Splinter wants to go out and meditate on this new development of these Mousers, and we flash back to April O'Neil with Baxter Stockman. Baxter's ready to start his villain arc. He's already amassed an army of Mousers. Eventually, he disposes of April. She gets trapped down in the sewers. He then releases the Mousers into the sewers where April O'Neil is, and they are chasing her all around. And then, boom, they gets whacked with a bow, head cut off with a sword, eye stabbed with a sai. And then this is the first meeting of the Turtles and April. Although it doesn't look like Mikey's here. Now, April and the Turtles are both watching the news broadcast, and they get hacked by Baxter Stockman. He's revealing his villainous plan, going to show the destruction of the city, so the Turtles know that they have to go stop him. Then we have a battle scene with the Turtles and Baxter. They beat him pretty easily, but a lot of these Mousers have been released into the sewers. Nice double-page spread. Again, with them just fighting the Mousers, trying to stop them. Power goes out, ends on issue 2. All right, so we're on to issue 3, still Eastman and Laird. We have Turtles and April leaving the area. They take April back to the lair, but the lair has been trashed and Master Splinter is gone. So this is kind of like a plot that was borrowed in the second live-action movie, Secret of the Ooze. Turtles are pissed. They're distraught. They just met April. They come back to their house. Everything's destroyed. So they go back with April to her apartment. Yeah, this was pretty funny. So they get pulled over by the cops. You can't pull over with these 4 mutant turtles in there. So right away, they have to do a police chase in April's VW bus to lose the cops. I thought that was pretty weird. It was the Turtles versus the cops in this issue. Plus, she's driving through Central Park. She's driving over bridges. People are jumping in to save their lives. They end up crashing the police car. This was kind of a wild issue. This whole police chase. And that's right, they run up on like an exact same model make of their car. They lose the cops and all that craziness. I love this panel though. Like this whole page is like a glimpse into late 1980s through the eyes of Eastman and Laird. All right, so after the crazy route from the sewers to April's apartment, the Turtles make themselves at home. Again, feels very much like the second movie. We get a glimpse as to what actually happened to Master Splinter. So he was attacked, but he's still alive and he's hanging on there. And then he gets jumped by some of the Mousers back at the home lair. Seems like the Turtles should have just waited there for him. So now you have Splinter escaping through the sewers. And then we run into some agents from TCRI. So that's going to play a major role moving forward here. They've captured Splinter. They brought him back to the TCRI building. He wakes up in this hospital bed, walking out through the halls, and he sees his captors aren't really humans, but they're robotic bodies that have these living brains inside of their stomachs. That's right. We're doing this in issue 3, y'all. After issue 3, we get into the first micro series, the Raphael, which introduces Casey Jones, which I was happy to see that he was so prevalent throughout the issues after he was first introduced. It's almost like he's the 5th turtle. Michelangelo fighting with Raphael. They're going back and forth. It gets pretty serious. See, we're reading this in hindsight. We already know Raphael's temper, Michelangelo's playfulness, but that's what they're kind of showing us right now the different personalities between the brothers. Raphael gets pissed. He does what he always does best, runs away, traveling by rooftop. And then we get introduced to Casey Jones. We can see his vigilante influence here as he packs up all his sports equipment, his hockey mask, and goes on patrol out in New York City. Runs into Raphael on the street. They have their battle, which again was recreated in the first movie, which was a great adaptation. This was a great read too, seeing that first meeting between them, the battle between them, similar kind of banter as you see in the movie. But the way that it ends will eventually get them to be on the same side. And like I said, Casey Jones joins the Turtles' exploits moving forward. That was by Eastman and Laird as well, just like issue 4 here. Always loved the cover for issue 4. And it was cool to get those color covers, even though the interiors are all black and white. It's been a week since Master Splinter has disappeared. Yeah, they're trying to find him. They're staying with April. Here we have them patrolling the city. They get confronted by the Foot Clan. So Foot Clan is back now. They're here to avenge their master Shredder. Turtles versus the Foot, taking the fight into other people's apartments. Funny enough, the battle leads them outside of the TCRI building, which resonates with the Turtles. They're aware of the canister of ooze and the lettering that it had on it. Little did they know that there was an actual building in the city the whole time. So after a quick recap of their origins, we're back to April's apartment to get ready to check out TCRI. She's got a brand new do. Now she's permed out. Trying to sneak into the building, which is high on security. They have cameras and they have guards. Eventually the Turtles get in. Now they're just snooping around the building. They find some key cards, which appear to be alien in nature. And then they're following some of the workers there. I like how they're hidden. This also feels like it was used for the movie, the way that they hide in April's apartment. Now, little do they know, while they're investigating the TCRI building, they actually find their master Splinter. He's in this crazy contraption. They are shocked to see him. Then we see the robot bodies from the last issue. They're warning that there are intruders in the building. So now we have all of those alien robots going to confront the Turtles. The issue ends with the Turtles accidentally transporting themselves into another dimension. That brings us to the Fugitoid one-shot. I remember the Fugitoid action figure, but you basically have an entirely different dimension. This scientist, he's trying to create this neurological equipment. The army wants to weaponize it, but he ends up getting fused with his robot helper when they're outside in this lightning storm, and his consciousness goes inside of this robot. So now this is Professor Honeycutt trapped in the Fugitoid's body. It's just kind of a weird one-shot that actually leads into the Turtles stuff next, so it is important to read. We get introduced to another alien species that I was really just more familiar with from the action figures, the Triceratons, I believe they're called. But the Fugitoid basically is just on the run. Here's where the stories cross. So now as the fugitive finally gets cornered, the Turtles appear. This is the dimension that they travel to accidentally while in the TCRI building. So the Turtles show up. They act as reinforcements for the Fugitoid, which leads into issue 5 of the Turtles. Picks up right where that left off. We still have Eastman and Laird on issue 5, but they have Steve Levine here on the lettering. And look by the covers, at this time, they all have those red bandanas. So just thought I'd point that out. Most people know this, but Turtles had the all red bandanas. All right, so back to where we were. Turtles in a different dimension now, showing up. They decide to help the Fugitoid. Eventually they escape, and then they realize that they are not in New York City anymore. So the Fugitoid fills them in on the whole translocation device and what his role in all of that was. A recapping of the events that happened in the one shot, so in case you missed that. They go to this bar. It kind of reminds me of like a Star Wars scene. It goes down at the bar, of course, and there is a little brouhaha. All right, then we get a quick shot of the Triceratron base out here floating, orbiting a planet, and the Turtles are trapped and quickly running out of air, where this story ends, but the issue continues with kind of this bonus story. Story and art by Eastman and Laird, letterer Steve Levine again, but colorist Linda Lessman and edited by Rick Oliver. This looks just like a little side story with the Turtles getting into an altercation at a bar. I guess similar to the main story, but this is kind of like a lighter take. They have to battle this crazy like ape octopus kind of creature. So yeah, just a little backup story. Then we get to issue 6. This one again, just Eastman and Laird with Steve Levine. Triceraton on the cover with Leo. Triceraton base. Turtles are trapped. They're running out of air. Look at all the detail. Look at all the motherships that they have, man. They are ready for an invasion. Quick flash to Earth and checking in on April O'Neil. Everybody's gone as far as she's concerned. The Turtles are gone. Splinter is gone. She's just there by herself, feeling helpless. Back to outer space, to the Triceratons. They have this big Coliseum Mortal Kombat scenario going on here. They're going to pit up the 4 turtles versus the 4 triceratons. And what this book really starts to do well, and they did it in the first 4 issues or so as well, but a couple of pages of some nice battle sequences. Let the art tell the story. Multiple pages with just the battle between this triceraton and all of them, Mikey, Donnie. Kind of tropey, but one of those things where they defeat the gladiators in the Colosseum, but then they jump up to where the elite are sitting and they try to negotiate their way out of here. They get to a room that has a transporter and they're able to successfully transport themselves somewhere. We got to read the next issue to find out where they go. Here goes issue number 7, still with the red bandanas, still with the triceratons. Apparently whatever's going on is catching the attention of the locals. Still Eastman, Laird, and Steve. Yeah, it's giving like Skybeam vibes out of the TCRI building. You got a crowd here. Media, police, and then boom, the turtles with some of the triceratons are transported back into the TCRI building. So now we get turtles, android aliens, and the triceratons. They start fighting. And then what we find out is this race is not necessarily bad. They actually end up explaining the situation to the turtles. They release Splinter, and when we finally get the reunion, flashing back to April, she still doesn't know where everyone's at. She's looking at all the commotion at the TCRI building. Splinter just explaining to them what's happened throughout this whole time. Then we get an explanation from the alien race as to why they ended up there in the first place, so a little background there. They show how that ties in with the origins of the turtles and what was going on with the TCRI ooze. Police end up breaching the building, and now they're going in to see what's going on inside. They meet some of the security, these little robots, which ended up in the arcade games. But right as the police or the army or whoever breaks into the building, the race of aliens transports out. April's back at the apartment. She's watching the events unfold on the news. She hears a loud noise, and bam, she's got 4 turtles and a rat in her bathtub. And then we're going to take a little break and go into the Michelangelo one-shot. This video is brought to you by Paraz Entertainment. MegaCon is right around the corner, February 6th, and we have a Dream Killers 1 drop featuring an absolute Batman 1 homage. There's 5 different trims on this. They're going to be dropped live on Whatnot during the convention. Make sure to follow that Spider-Man booth on Whatnot and bookmark their upcoming shows. Co-created, written, and drawn by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, lettering by Steve Levine. So it's a Michelangelo Christmas story. Michelangelo doing sled riding. Look at all the snow. I really like the art in this issue. Nice foreshadowing here, right? You have Mikey in the toy store, and a lot of us were introduced into the Turtles because of toys. Of course, there's a robbery happening at Christmas time. Mikey's got to jump in and stop the robbers. They get away, so he has to grab one of the cords from the appliances that are hanging out the back of the truck. So Mikey's on this crazy ride with the robbers, gets into an altercation with them. The whole issue has snow throughout, man. It looks so cool. Mikey's side story, comes back home. You got Donnie working on a robot. You got Leo reading a TV guide, Raph doing the weights, and it just ends with Santa Claus with a Merry Christmas. So nice, fun little one-shot. Next up is the Donatello one-shot. Raphael's trying to take a shower, but the hot water's out. Of course, Donatello does machines, so he's the one that they're always trying to get to fix things around the house.
Donatello does machine.
He goes to the basement, and there just happens to be some crazy creature downstairs in the basement. Eastman and Laird and Steve Levine. The story's called Kirby and the Warp Crystal, and Kirby, along with Frank Miller, were a huge influence on Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. So this is Donatello running into Jack Kirby drawing in his room, and his drawings are coming to life. This crystal that is wrapped around this pencil, and whatever you draw, it'll come to life. Donnie draws this little stick figure that comes to life. Jack Kirby draws this portal, which is kind of like something out of Narnia. Donatello goes into the portal along with Jack, and this is where all his creations reside. So this was a nice kind of tribute one-shot. Nothing that really mattered to the plot, but Donatello ends up having to defeat these evil creations. Jack Kirby is able to draw all kinds of weaponry that Donatello can pull from to fight them. Got this crazy pulse rifle. Jack and Donnie have to go back to the portal, but only Johnny gets through. Jack doesn't get through. He's trapped back there in that dimension with all his creations, but he sends Donatello a note on a little paper airplane. Don, life at best is bittersweet. Take care of yourself, Kirby. All right, back to the main series. So again, skipped issue 8, the licensing issues, Cerebus and all that. This was kind of a freaky issue, I remember. Now we have Eastman and Laird did the story, but pencils by Michael Dooney, inks and tones by Eastman, Laird, and Dooney. Ryan Brown and Jim Lawson also did something. I don't really know what they did, and letters by Steve Levine again. We're going back to a time where Splinter was training the Turtles. Splinter's meditating. He goes into the astral plane. Somebody touches him from the astral plane. He's wondering who it was that tried to contact him, and he tells the Turtles to take the rest of the day off. Splinter is able to see the person who's been reaching out to him. He knows who he is. He asks Splinter for a favor. He needs to use his body in order to help save his family. They need to confront his son so that he doesn't go to the dark side. So his astral form possesses Splinter's body. He recruits the Turtles to help him go out on this mission. They have to infiltrate the building. They break into the building and uncover a plot to assassinate the very person that they're there to save. They know that there are 4 ninja assassins around the building, so each of the Turtles are tasked to go find and dispose of the ninjas. Again, a couple of pages, no dialogue, straight battling. You got turtles coming out of the water. Unfortunately, the Turtles are not able to save everybody. Gotsu Hasume, who is assuming Splinter's body, this is his son that dies, and his grandson is grieving him while wondering who the hell are these green turtles. His great-grandfather explains to him why he's there and what he's trying to help prevent. Apparently, his grandfather has been trying to reach out to him through the astral plane as well. He's doing some sort of tradition which transfers his life force into his grandson, so that his ancestors and spirits can flow through him and allow him to lead their family. We get a 5th ninja that comes in to try to finish the job, but now the grandson has the powers of his ancestors, so he knows martial arts. He's not sure how he knows it, but he's able to snap the neck of the would-be assassin. He gets some final farewell words from Master Splinter, who now is back in his own body, leading into the Leonardo one-shot. So the Leonardo one-shot is by Eastman, Laird, Bissett, Dooney, Lawson, Brown, and Levine. So they all contributed to this one-shot. Starts off showing Leo fighting some Foot Clan soldiers, showing Leo going through this battle as you're flashing back to the Turtles, happy-go-lucky back at the apartment with Splinter and April. Leo is over here chopping down soldiers with his swords. The other Turtles are here at home chopping up carrots, making salads. Kind of just a lot of battle scenes with Leo and the Foot, showing Raph and his anger management problems as he bonsai the Christmas tree. Love this panel of Leo blocking the ninja stars. Got archers on him. Leo takes down the Foot Clan, sees a shadowy figure in the distance. The other brother's just at home cooking still. Leo ends up catching up to that shadowy figure. They start fighting, and I like how he pulls this move. He just takes a rag, puts it on his sword, sticks it out there. He can see the throwing stars coming toward him, setting up the enemy. Now, this is important here. More and more soldiers are coming. Leo is tired by this point. His brothers are still just doing nothing back at the apartment. But who does Leo spot? Thought he was dead. The Shredder returns. Leo gets tossed right back into the apartment through the window. Now, this is kind of where they got inspiration on the first movie, but it was Raph who was beat up for a couple of scenes and here for a couple of issues. It's Leo in the comics that gets beat up by the Foot and the Shredder. He lets his brothers know that he's back. We know that it's going to continue in issue 10, and then boom, the cover has Shredder versus Raph. The Shredder returns. Eastman, Laird, Dooney with Steve Levine. So now Dooney is contributing to the main issue as well. And you can see that inspiration. Leo is beat up. The other brothers are asking what happened. I like how it's kind of natural. Like, he doesn't have his bandana on at all. April's freaking out. Splinter's worried. And then all of the Foot Clan soldiers that Leo was just fighting crash through the apartment, right? It feels very similar to the movie. They really borrowed heavily from these issues, which is why the movie was so great if you think about it. Another couple of pages without dialogue, just showing the fighting. April tending to Leo. More and more continue to pile in. You remember who shows up to save the Turtles in the movie, right? This was a cool scene though. Before we get to that, we see Foot Clan soldiers hiding under the staircase in the shadows. We have Turtles over here making noise to get the attention of some Foot soldiers. They come in, boom, dispose of them. Same over here. Donnie, he gets the Foot Clan soldiers to come out of hiding. They show the strategy of the Turtles when they're fighting. In the comics, April does have that thrift store or antique store under her apartment as well. And look, they get down there. You got the Shredder with the Foot Clan, double page spread. I had a blast reading this. Then a solo shot of the Shredder. He's got bandages around his midsection, confronts them one-on-one, but then somebody goes, hey, wait a minute. He drops some baseball bats. You see his hockey mask, and that's right, Casey Jones is here. Casey going right towards Shredder, too. ceiling coming down, kind of the same thing from the movie. As the battle intensifies, the apartment catches on fire. It's visible from the outside. April can see her apartment building, her antique store, both going up in flames. The epilogue is the Turtles leaving New York City. Instead of it being April's house out in the country, which I believe is what they did in the movies, this is where Casey Jones grows up. It's in Northampton. It kind of ties in, I would say, with the tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which are coming up soon. Here goes issue 11. April still with the perm, some turtles in the background. This is just Eastman Laird and Steve Levine. So back to just the core team with their letterer. It looks like she's having some type of nightmare of the building crashing around her, this crazy turtle / shredder monster. In this issue, April's writing in her diary, and we really can see the passage of time hiding out here. Starts in January 1987, shows the turtles out here training and hunting, moving on throughout the months. Now we're in February. All of those kind of scenes from the first movie, heavily inspired by here as well. Now February 26th, just showing them training. Showing Raph patrolling and talking about how he doesn't sleep. And you also get a lot of describing all the turtles and their different personalities. And Casey Jones, he's there as well. Now we're in March. This is kind of an important issue in the story. You know, some of them are kind of one-offs. April falls through the frozen ice and she gets rescued. Just kind of all these things that they've experienced while out here in Hideout. This issue just ends with the turtles out camping outside, talking about April. They decided to do something nice for her since she's been through a lot as well, which leads into Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So this was the first time I had read these issues. I always knew it was kind of like, okay, you had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and then Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. All right, so Eastman did the plot and story, but Jim Lawson did the layout and pencils, Ryan Brown on the inks, Steve Levine on the letters. Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are kind of just stories of what happened in the past. The first issue tells about a story that happened in between the 6 months that they were in Hideout. We get introduced to a character named Sid, which I want to say is Casey Jones' cousin. So they realize that somebody is in the old house. So now they're talking about that, trying to figure out what's going on over there. Donatello in the attic, somebody creeps up on him, some type of weird beast. No, but it's actually just Michelangelo in a raccoon coat, just showing his ninja like stealthness. So I thought that was a pretty cool couple of pages. Sid and his band, they come and break into the house. They hold Casey Jones captive, and we just get a confrontation between family members wondering, like, you know, what the hell are you doing here? Where's the $250,000 that our grandfather left behind? He assumes that Casey Jones took it and ran. Casey Jones insists that there is no money. Casey Jones kicks the gun out of Sid's hand, tells April to grab it. He's ready to kill him. April has to really plead with Casey Jones not to kill him, so he finally stops. Then Sid remembers that the grandfather once said the treasure is located where X marks the spot. So he has this bright idea that the treasure is buried where they buried their dog. But they find what they think was the $250,000, but really it was just the grandmother gave them all away to charity. So no money. And that was just a tale of what happened in the early days with them being back at Casey's house. Then on to issue 2, Tales of the TMNT. Once again, Eastman and Laird just with the story and plot. Lawson doing the layouts and pencils. You got Ryan Brown on the ink, Steve Levine on the letters. So this is another one. Let me tell you a story. That's how all these set up. But you can see the art is different. It's still cool though. I really like this style where it's kind of like less detailed. The background will be all white or all black. They joke that you two are becoming couch potatoes, and they actually look like couch potatoes. We see the turtles outside patrolling, and look at this scene of how they jump up on the building and get onto the rooftops. This was introducing a vigilante superhero into the TMNT world. This guy says he's a cop. He's been following this thing that's going down, and the turtles are wondering whether or not they should trust him. He tells them to meet them later when the meetup's supposed to go down. They uncover a bunch of weaponries, which is what is supposed to go down in the buy. Turns out the buy is going down right now, to the point where this vigilante doesn't even have time to call backup. They end up taking down these criminals that are doing this weapon buy and sell and leave them there for the cops. The vigilante was a good guy. He was trying to do the right thing. He disappears before the turtles can see him, and he never even said goodbye, but he said goodbye in his own way. Now we're on issue 12. We're back on the main series. Don't move. Looks like it's going to be something serious, but no, it's really just Michelangelo and Donatello, Mikey shooting apples off of his head. So we're still here at Casey's house. This guy's on the run. He just broke out. He was being held captive over the last 5 weeks. So he explains what's going on, the whole situation to the turtles, and then bam, he gets shot right as he's in mid-explanation. Casey, Splinter, April, the turtles are shocked. They're trying to find out where this sniper is. Then we get our guy, Army Fatigues. He's got some of his guys with him. He knew he missed the shot, and now obviously the Turtles have to intervene, staking the guy out. Just another couple of scenes to show their strategy and how stealth they are and how they move as ninja. So I like how they really took the time to show that confrontation between this 80s archetype character and Splinter, looking like Rocket Raccoon here. Splinter takes him down with these kind of pressure point moves, showing how it doesn't matter how big and strong you are and you can be taken down with martial arts. They were able to create a nuclear device. So that's the problem here. This extremist group has a nuke, and the Turtles are trying to prevent them from using it without having it go off right in their faces. This scene is cool too, though, as they're traversing this river and you see the turtle shells. Kind of another stealth move with a nice double page spread. Donatello, even though he's reluctant to, figures out how to defuse the bomb. Well, he removes the plutonium. The bomb still explodes, killing this guy, which kind of bothers Donnie a little bit. And April talks with him during the epilogue like, dude, are you okay? Like, dude just died, but, you know, he has to kind of justify it. It was either him or us, so it had to be him. All right, then we go back to a Tales issue, Tales of the TMNT issue number 3. Edgar Allan Poe, rest in peace. So this is the narration, the let me tell you a story thing. It looks like it's the same crew who did the other issue where it's not Peter Laird. Yeah, it's Lawson, Brown, and Levine did this one. So a Halloween issue, less detailed, but still well done, but with like a negative space style to it. The Turtles are in April's antique shop. This is before it got destroyed. It's called Second Time Around. They have some trick-or-treaters that look older than they should be. They start attacking. One of them ends up getting away. They take off the mask of another guy, and all of a sudden he gasps for air like he's being choked, but it's not by the Turtles. Something happened that caused him to die. They get a tip that it has something to do with the Blue Star Hotel, so they go to the hotel to investigate. They find this guy worshiping one of these figures that was stolen from the antique store. It turns out that it has magical powers, but it's the god of thieves. It can only be used if it's stolen, which is why he had those kids steal it. Now the figure is sprouting out these little evil demons. That figure not only sprouts out these little demons, but grows in size as well. Got 6 arms instead of like a 4-arm Goro. Turtles end up taking him out the same way they did Shredder. It ends with the guy who had the figure stolen, and he was trying to loot all of these stores with those little demons. He ends up getting charged for all of the robberies, and he ends up getting arrested. So happy ending on that one. Then we have issue 4 of Tales of the TMNT. Starts off with like a little Frankenstein vibe here, but again, this is just the intro narration to the main story, which is by Jim Lawson, Ryan Brown, and Steve Levine. This was a great origin story for the Rat King. They don't call him the Rat King right away, but immediately I'm like, okay, this is the Rat King. And this is what I was talking about earlier. You just got the Turtles teamed up with Casey. They go and investigate this abandoned building. They get to the building where the Rat King is. The Rat King attacks Mikey. He's got him held captive. The Rat King has unleashed rats upon him. Mikey realizes he's got to get the hell out of here. Basically channel all of his chi into his wrist in order to get his arm out and then crash the wood planks that he's stranded on so he could take out the rats. Right as he's getting overwhelmed, yabba dabba doo, Donnie and the rest of the brothers come help him stomp out all these rats. The Rat King lures them into this coliseum, slams the door shut on them, and of course unleashes more rats. So he's just watching from above as the Turtles and Casey have to kill all these rats. Mikey gets fed up and crashes through the building like the Kool-Aid Man.
Oh yeah!
The rest of the Turtles follow, and before they leave, Leo shoots one of the throwing stars, hitting the Rat King right in the chest, and he falls on the building, and it looks like he gets eaten by the very rats that he set out on the Turtles. So here's a nice somber ending for I am the Rat King. Everything fears me, everything except the rats. So he didn't get killed, but again, it's just a Tales of the TMNT story. All right, then we have issue 13 from the main story. Yeah, this one was kind of weird. The People's Choice, the art and stories by Michael Dooney, letters by Steve Levine. So as they're investigating this building, they see this meteor shooting across in the sky, but then it hooks a turn going towards the Turtles. They jump off the building and it destroys the entire building that they were just going to investigate. Turns out it's this crazy big robot. But as the robot collapses, it opens up and it shows that it's really just this woman that was inside in this huge kind of mech suit. Flashing to space, we can see where her origins are from. She's on the run from those aliens, and she explains what's going on to the Turtles as we see them land with their weird other alien species trying to hunt down Jana, who is the girl that was in the big mech suit. She takes down her evil stepmother or whoever that's supposed to be. Just showing how the Turtles work with others. She ends up winning and is able to cut off her warrior braid and become royalty over that race. Donatello likes her. Then we have issue 14, which is the Unmentionables. Eastman, E.C. Talbot, and Steve Levine. This one is an issue that's done without Peter Laird. Casey Jones, almost like in a Western type of setting. He notices that this brass bull has been stolen off of this store. So this becomes this whole story of this brass bull, which actually ends up being a golden bull. It shows Casey Jones going on this kind of detective mission to find out the people who stole this heirloom from off of this building. We find out this whole Smangy brothers, and they're the ones that stole the bull. I don't know, it was kind of like a crazy story. Casey Jones hitting them with the cowabunga. Of course, the Turtles help recover the golden bull, and the whole Unmentionables thing ends up being Casey and April were able to help the cops solve this case by, with the help of the Turtles, but they can't really tell them how they did it. So the cop says, we're just going to file it under the Unmentionables. All right, then we have the last issue of Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in this hardcover. Opens up with Super Turtle here. Let me tell you a story. So Eastman and Laird present, I don't think they did anything on this issue, but Lawson Brown and Levine production, Complete Carnage and Radical. So this is Complete Carnage. He's the villain and Radical is the superhero. It's kind of like another superhero story within the TMNT universe. So you get a quick origin on the super villain. Complete Carnage is an interesting name for this guy, right? He almost looks like Etrick and the Demon, but this is before the symbiote Carnage. And then you have Radical, who is like this heroine. They battle each other. Obviously, the Turtles work with Radical to take him down. Complete Carnage is able to kind of morph into metals. He's able to morph into the wall, and Radical is able to remove his arm, and she runs with the arm, making him follow her. She sacrifices herself in order to defeat Complete Carnage, but due to his anatomy, he broke into a bunch of little concrete chips. They end up just mailing them all over New York City, just saying that they're pieces of the Big Apple, and it ends with a cliffhanger with the arm hitchhiking to get out of it. All right, guys, there we go. That's the breakdown of the first hardcover compendium for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I cannot wait to jump into volume 2. And that was really the point of this. I had read a few of these issues here and there, but I really want to see what happens in the later issues of the TMNT. So like I said in the intro, if you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like on it so that I know there's interest in it. And I'm going to start reading that volume 2. Hopefully we'll get a breakdown on that pretty soon. But thank you guys for watching. Stay minty fresh and Happy New Year. Peace.